Welcome back to 808s and Fast Breaks. My name is Jason Amar. I'm here with my good friend and fellow shaded one, Andy Cordell.
Hello.
It's quite the entrance. Coming to you live on Monday evening here, just to recap our conference semifinal action. We had a couple game fours with the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics coming away with the win, able to even up that series 2-2 as they head back to Boston for Game 5. And then we had the Warriors kind of just holding on and coming ahead in the last moments there to take a 3-1 lead against Memphis, who were playing without Ja Morant. So I want to start with that one, I think, because that one's fresh in the mind. What were your initial takeaways from, one, the Grizzlies playing without Ja, and then two, the Warriors, and kind of like, I would say this was like the most ugly game of the playoffs, just to kind of set the tone. But what were your takeaways?
I think the Warriors didn't make a three until like 2 minutes and 35 seconds in the second quarter. The first three was made.
I think they were 0 of 14 to that point.
Dude, I was like, when I was watching that first quarter, I was like, this is the worst shooting night I've ever seen Golden State shoot.
It was horrible.
Like, ever. And they were like reasonable shots. They just didn't go in. And I was like, okay. And I also really, really liked Steven Adams coming in, holding up the paint. I think the biggest thing with Golden State is that they're kind of pseudo-death lineup, right? Like with Kevin Durant gone, but now you have Draymond running the 5. This super fast-paced like style of offense is where Golden State's best at. And to counter that was moving Jaren Jackson to the 4 and Steven at the 5. And there was like, I felt like Steven did really, really good for like his minutes being played. Like,
he had a great game.
Yeah, he didn't play throughout basically the first round, and then it's just like he gets thrown in. And I was like, well, that's definitely some veteran leadership right there. He's probably just been watching film and just understanding that his time might come to really hole up the paint, get some boards. And then Kyle Anderson too. My gosh, if he makes 3 more free throws, they win the game.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was the worst free throw shooting exhibition I'd seen from a player in a long time. Like, it was bad, dude. I was like, wow, Kyle cannot hit anything from the line. But yeah, those are my initial takeaways.
Yeah, no, and I just kind of want to piggyback off your Steven Adams points. Like, I think he was just like, obviously he started for Memphis all year when healthy.
Yep.
And he was just a big part of their identity. Like, you look at what are Memphis's strengths: offensive rebounding, transition offense, second chance points, right? And he's like a really big pillar at all 3 of those things. He had, I think, I'm looking at it right now, 6 offensive boards tonight, 15 rebounds overall. As a team, they had 10 offensive boards. So I mean, they were just able to control the tempo of the game, I think, a little bit better through him. I love your mug, by the way. And then also on the flip side of that, you know, Dylan Brooks was out for Game 3, serving that suspension for the hard foul on Gary Payton.
Yep.
And just had an absolutely abysmal game today. Like, I think they're better off sometimes with him not playing.
I agree.
Like,
Did you see that last hero shot he attempted?
Dude, he just, like, why? Off the side of the backboard, right?
So bad, dude.
It was so bad, dude. Like,
oh my goodness.
And I get it's partly because Bane, right, it looks like it's still dealing with that bad back, right, and only taking 8
looks
attempts.
Hurt as hell.
Yeah, this like doesn't look 100%, right? But I don't know, man. Brooks wasn't great. Kyle Anderson was awesome. I always love Kyle Anderson. I don't know how he makes those shots. I don't know how any of it happens, but it works. It looks gross, but it works. 7 of 8. Made a couple threes. The slowest 3-point shot in NBA history.
Dude, remember the first one he got on the left side corner? And it was like, they gave him like 5 seconds to set up and just shoot the catapult.
It is like,
it's so weird.
I feel like I could get up and go take a piss and come back.
And still trying to shoot,
yeah.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
Definitely.
But no, dude, on the flip side of that, talk about like ugly shooting performance, man. Like the Warriors, like you were saying, didn't
Mm-hmm.
make a three until partway through the second quarter, and then like Klay Thompson was 0 of 7 from three. Steph Curry ended up, he had a great fourth quarter, but 4 of 14 from three. Like that's insane. Then you have
I
Jordan
know.
Poole who was 0 of 3. Otto Porter saved him, making 4 of 6, but like obviously that's always going to be a big part of who the Warriors are, the way they play. So I don't know. I'm just calling this an anomaly, right? And they shot horribly, only 40% from the field, 24% from three overall, and they still won.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I
Yeah.
don't know. They're probably, I think they're going to win Game 5 in Memphis pretty easily.
Right.
Even with whether Ja's playing or not. Because law of averages, they'll kind of what's the opposite of progress towards the mean, like
Mm-hmm.
not regress but progress, because there's no way they only make 9-24 or 9 of 37 for 24% again on threes.
Yeah, I
So
agree. You know what was really interesting that I've like noticed, especially pulling this Memphis series. It's like it's almost like he's taking a bigger role in the playmaking department, especially this game. I was really like just like watching Poole because like Poole is going to be an X factor in a lot of these games moving past this series, and it was so funny. He was like really, really trying to slow the pace down and try to methodically play make like Draymond. But he would sometimes do that when Dre was on the floor too. And I'm just kind of like, well, there needs to be some kind of idea of like what Poole is really going to do in those moments, right? Because
yeah,
like I would have rather had him try to hunt his shot and live with the misses because he's that dynamic of a scorer, right?
yeah,
And he has as much gravity as Steph and Clay sometimes. Truly, he can drag two defenders. But that's just kind of where I'm like, that's why I think Poole had an off game. He had several turnovers trying to force some really, really tight passes. And I was just like, you look kind of unnatural. Like you don't look like you're having a lot of fun out there.
well that was
Yeah.
part of it too. Like I don't know, like I feel like it's like what do you want? Like, he's struggling with his shot, so he's going to distribute a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if he just like forces his shot, then you or everyone else, right, is gonna be like, why is he forcing his
Forcing
shot? You have
shots.
Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on your team, like you can't be the one forcing your shot. It's like he's in a lose scenario, right? But I think
Right.
he actually had a really good game.
Yeah.
Like
Just the
just for
scoring
like for
output.
not like no one in this whole game really found a rhythm,
No.
you know.
No. I
So
mean,
like for just junking it up, I think he was pretty good to kind of break rhythm, force. Yeah, he had some boneheaded turnovers, but he was also able to force turnovers on the other end. In some cases, he's not the best defender, but he is active in passing lanes, and it's not for lack of effort, right?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think he was good. Again, he didn't make a three tonight, but was still penetrating, had 5 assists, scratched the boards. Like he did everything they're going to ask of him. And you got to also remember they didn't even have Steve Kerr on the bench tonight because he tested positive for COVID. So you
Right.
got to
Right.
imagine hearing that. Like, I mean, they're professionals. Like, I don't think they care. The game plan doesn't change, right? But there's like
Mm-hmm.
a little like unspoken kind of like air let out of the room. I think maybe in that locker room speech when it's not your guy,
Right.
um,
Right.
especially with all the battles they've been through.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say though, this is the first time in 20 years that a Sacramento Kings coach has coached a playoff game.
Too soon, dude.
Shout out Mike Brown.
Right. Shout out Mike
Kind of funny
Brown.
how that worked out, right?
Yeah, dude. I'm just so. I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but it's like really reassuring to see like I looking at Draymond's face tonight. There were so many times he was absolutely livid. Like it was everyone had the smoke,
Dude,
right? Like he
I don't
was.
have it in front of me, but how many potential assists do you think he had tonight?
Oh my god,
He
dude!
only
At
had 5
least like
assists. He only
oh,
had 5 actual assists.
he missed like
Double
six
it?
or seven. Yeah,
Yeah.
he missed 6 or 7, dude. Like I remember there was one time where Jordan Poole was kind of slugging around a little bit. I wouldn't say he wasn't trying, but he wasn't running as fast as he could off some of these pin downs. And you could see Draymond just screaming at him to go faster, like to push the defense. Cause like that was the biggest thing that Golden State struggled with was getting in that offensive downhill fast type of game, or if like you're on the perimeter, like having people just constantly in flux, there was a lot of times things became stagnant. Like when Clay and Steph are coming off like weird screens actions, like sometimes there was one time that Clay drove to the basket and Steph took his defender right with him to the
Yeah, when
basket,
they both cut in the fourth quarter off
and then
Draymond's action.
yeah, and then Jaren just slapped the ball and said, "Get that out of here, Clay." You know, and it's just kind of like that kind of stuff, and they were still able to win. Just shows a testament to their greatness. So I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
think
excited to
so.
see how they bounce back, because that was an
Yeah.
awful game by Golden State
I
overall.
think seeing this game, like obviously, like I said, it was just kind of a game without flow, without rhythm. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it's also kind of a little bit of foreshadowing. Like, you know, in the finals, conference finals, like we are getting to this point now. There are absolutely no bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, every team at that 3-4 games into a series, they know all the tendencies. They know exactly what you're trying to do. And you know exactly how they're trying to stop it. So
Right.
it's like everything's going to get junked up. Everything's going to be gross probably for first quarters now, and then you're going to adjust and see who can like navigate it from there. Right? We're kind of
Right.
in that phase. So that's like where you lean on. I think the Golden States, the Miami's, right? Phoenix, like these experience, Milwaukee too, right? Even
Yep.
though we'll get to them later. Not being able to pull it out today, but like, you know, those are kind of the teams that you would probably lean on. Um, in those sort of scenarios. And I think that's probably like perfect segue to the Celtics and Bucks game,
Bucks game.
where
Yeah.
I kind of want to frame it um, for the Celtics. Are they kind of becoming one of those teams? Should we think of them that way, even though they're still so youthful, right? Because am I wrong? And when I watched both of these games today, let me know how you feel about this. Is what Boston did today any different than what Golden State did today? They hung around all game. They didn't really look like they were going to have it. You know,
Hmm.
they they knew they had to win that game, right? Similar, like, you know, they're not at home, but it's like Golden State, they jaws out. We have to get this one, right?
Right.
And Celtics, like, we have to even this up. We can't go home one down 1-3, right?
Right.
So I think very similarly, and they just hung around all game. Fourth quarter rolls around, and Tatum and Al Horford, I think combined, they scored like 24 or 26 points in the fourth quarter. Al Horford was like massive. I don't know, turned back the clock, found something better than he ever had before, maybe. That was insane. That dunk on Giannis, the threes he was hitting,
Dude.
the mid
Yeah.
range game, the defense too.
Yeah.
Like he was just everywhere.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that kind of comparison? Like, do you think the Celtics belong in that echelon, right? Like they didn't even have Robert Williams today, and it didn't look like it bothered them at all.
Right. Um. So just to clarify, when you're saying that do the Celtics are on that upper echelon, you mean of like the best teams in the
Yeah, are
NBA,
they
right? Like,
like should we take them seriously? Can they win the championship this year? Like that type of stuff. Like do they have the poise? Because that's like the stuff that's coming to mind when I watch them today. I'm
right?
like, they didn't panic at all. You know, Tatum didn't shoot well. I think he was like
No.
11 of 24. Yeah, 11 of
Yeah,
24.
11 of 24. Yep.
Al Horford was their best player today. Jaylen Brown was in foul trouble, and you didn't have your best paint defender, Robert Williams. And they looked calm, cool as a cucumber, weren't worried at all. They were down for most of the game, weren't worried at all. Giannis dominated, they weren't worried at all. And fourth quarter rolls around, and they just go on their run. Like,
Right.
that's a contender to me, right?
Yeah. No, no, no. I agree with you. There's complete possibility that the Celtics could win. However, it comes with a caveat of like, dude, I I hate to say this, but you know, there's always like a level of like I don't want to say inconsistent because it's not inconsistent. They've been consistent all season, but like games where like Tatum 11 of 24, right? Jalen 5 of 11. But then you have someone like Marcus Smart stepping up, getting you 18 points. Like if any of the players are having a bad game, Boston has a good foundation for players to be able to like take it up a notch, right? And I think that is what pushes them to that contender level that we're kind of talking about because at this point, especially in this playoffs, like it's kind of hard to leave Marcus Smart open for three now. Like, remember, like we clowned him for not having a shot a few years back. Well, that's not the case anymore, right?
The selection is way better. He doesn't just jack up 8 a
Jack him
game.
up,
The
and he's
selection's
not,
a lot
and he's
better.
such a willing passer. Like, he's really bought into this pure kind of like point guard, like dude, he really passes the ball well with this team. Like the level of trust that Boston has, yes, shoots them right into contention. I would still love to see if Middleton wasn't hurt in the series, like how much more fun it would be.
Dude, I would have picked Milwaukee if Middleton's there.
It's there,
I
I
think it's a
know.
completely different series. We can't even. I don't even know if it's fair to talk about it. Right? To
Yeah,
both
sure.
teams. I think we
Yeah,
just
to
got to
both teams.
evaluate what we're watching right now.
Right. And then hey, Grant Williams coming out and being sometimes being their best defender
Oh, dude,
for Boston.
I was gonna say something different, dude. How is Jason Tatum not their best paint defender? Jason Tatum was their best paint defender today. If you watch, dude, like he was the one bodying Brook Lopez. He was the one boxing out Giannis and Brook. Like he
Yep.
had the most boards on the team.
Yeah, he had 13 boards.
No,
Kind of
dude,
insane.
he was basically playing the 5 on defense, like, and incredibly well. Like, I feel like a lot of like casual fans are gonna look and be like, he didn't have any steals and blocks. He didn't,
No, that's not.
he didn't have a great, but he had an
Doesn't reflect.
incredible defensive game today while
Right.
pouring it in on offense. That's why I excuse his efficiency, 45% shooting, but who cares when you're providing that value?
Right.
I think
And
I feel like tomorrow you'll see compilations on Twitter or Reddit of his defensive plays.
because like last game it was not last game but the game before it was Grant Williams stepping up on defense, and now it's Tatum. Horford's holding his own. It's like it's not necessarily the explosions of offense that I look forward to with Boston. It's like what kind of absolute destruction of lockdowns can Boston have in a period of time? Because there are some times Boston can shut anyone down. Like,
Yeah, and they're so disciplined too. It's the rotations, it's the verticality on contests.
No ticky tack fouls. That's the other thing too.
They play
Boston,
so smart.
when they foul, they like foul. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like another thing too. But they definitely consider all of their options on defense, and I think that's like the beautiful thing is like when you don't have to tell somebody to rotate.
True.
When they just already preemptively know, that just bolsters up your case for having such a great all around defense. Truly, Boston can guard the perimeter. They can guard in the paint. It's kind of crazy.
No, yeah, they like it's a like generational team defense. I don't know. Like I probably right.
Well, they locked KD.
They locked up KD.
If
they're
push,
I wouldn't say. I don't know if locked up is the right word for either KD or Giannis. Like I don't know. They contained KD. And they are containing the Milwaukee Bucks through the way they're playing Giannis and being so physical with him.
Maybe
and I will point out too,
disrespectful.
I will point out too when the refs call the game and allow all the physicality that they did in a game that that's always going to favor the defensive juggernaut like the Celtics, right? They were able to kind of junk it up, right, and play really physical. Contest, and yeah, I don't know. That was a really fun game to watch, dude.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the most physical game I had seen so far. I mean, Memphis and Golden State has definitely gotten pretty physical, but like it's not the same as like.
No, it has like more. It has more like context and drama to it with all the flagrants and the suspension and the injury, right?
Right.
But just like watching it, like you're like, it's like, is this rugby for a second?
Yeah, like
it looks
body,
intense.
like hitting.
Yeah,
each
like
other,
the rebounds,
all the time.
I think even the broadcasters made a comment. They're like, this has got to be like an NBA record for bodies on the floor right now.
Yeah, there was 4 people on the floor on that play. I remember.
Yeah,
Jason Tatum tripped over. That shit was so.
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
But I think this is the funnest series for me. It has been the
Boston Milwaukee.
Yeah, this has been the funnest series for me to watch. I still am sticking with Boston in 7. I feel good about that prediction. You had Bucks in 6.
Bucks in 6, yeah.
So they got to win 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's gonna be
and they totally
tough.
It totally could.
I mean,
Um,
look at Giannis's stat line, bro. Like, there's always a
went off.
chance. There's always a chance.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention too with Giannis, and when you
Mm,
have such a close, like this was ended up being an 8 point game, but like this was closer than 8 points. It was really close.
right.
And when you have Giannis, I want to pull it up and just see how many shots he had.
Oh, he
Um,
had 32.
32 shots. Okay, now I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull up the game chart, dude. I just want to see Giannis' shots. Three pointers above the key. Why? Uh, 5 shots above the break mid range. No reason for any of those in my mind. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care that there's a narrative that ESPN loves that Giannis is supposed to shoot. Fuck that, dude.
No.
Like that's he's bailing them out every time.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, he needs to at least touch a hash mark on the paint if he's going to do a turnaround. You know,
Right. I agree.
like Shaq is right with everything he says about this stuff with these players. Like if you're a post player and you want to be dominant like that, like Giannis is Shaq. Shaq is they're the same player. Like he's Orlando Shaq, basically, just modern
Mm-hmm.
version. And he's
Mm-hmm.
got to play like it, like because he has those moments where if he hits 2 pivots in the paint, he's
It's
literally
over.
one more away from a dunk every time.
Yeah.
And I get that he probably gets tired throughout the game. Like I don't know what that's like, but he can't settle. If he needs a break, you got to go get that minute and a half on the it's a minute and a half on the bench. They can make do for a minute. You got to go
Right.
get it, and you got to make sure every possession down the floor, especially without Chris Middleton, you're not settling. That's something I noticed a
Yeah.
lot in this game. He
Yeah.
can't be shooting. He should not have a single
Yeah.
3 point attempt next game. Like
I 100%
there's
agree.
no reason he should have a 3 point attempt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Shot clock, whatever. I mean like a real 3 point attempt. No reason.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with you. I agree with you. Giannis, every time he shoots a jumper, Boston wins that defensive possession, whether he scores or not.
exactly.
That's the whole point. And it was kind of like, yeah, you're feeding into the machine. Like you're charging up the machine. Like everyone in Boston is getting hype when you shoot
dude,
that jumper.
they're like the inverse of Golden State. Like
I
Golden
know.
State makes 2 threes, and the whole stadium feels like the top's gonna pop off.
Right.
But in like with Boston, it regardless if they're playing at home away, like what it feels like to the players, it seems they get 2 stops back to back. That's as if they just got 6 points on you. Like they get juiced on that,
for sure.
And it's a difference maker.
Yeah, shout out to Udoka. I don't know how he got it to work, but I mean, with the whole Rob Williams moving him to the 4-man or a wing first, that worked in the regular season. But I'm not gonna lie, Robert Williams' impact on this series especially hasn't been nearly as significant as it was in the regular season.
And clearly he's been playing hurt.
Yeah, he's been playing hurt, and we gotta give him credit for pushing through and fighting through that. But that just shows like the defensive philosophy of Boston is so sound. It doesn't matter. It's always next man up. So that's always like a good sight to see with Boston. Because they're so big and so lengthy. It's like, of course you'd want that anyway. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Let's move to predictions for tomorrow's games. We're going to have a couple game fives, Sixers Heat back in Miami, and Dallas Phoenix back in Phoenix.
Oh, so these are good. These are
going to be awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to watch them though. So I have my 4-year anniversary with Alexa tomorrow.
Oh,
so I'm not going to be watching any basketball. We're going out.
That's fine. I will put in the work. I'll make sure that I.
I'll watch the highlights later.
I'll watch the game.
Yeah, but I want your prediction real quick. Just like kind of rapid fire. We'll do Heat Sixers first. Who wins and why? Go.
Okay, I say Philly wins the next one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And my reasoning for it is what I'm hoping for is James is riding that high that he had. Right? Like at the end of the day, I really hate saying this, but you have one MVP candidate, one former MVP, and Tyrese borderline playing like an all-star sometimes. And when you compare that to Miami, it's like, sure, you got your all-stars and Kyle, Jimmy, Bam, but you've never had an MVP candidate. on your team. You got two powerhouses that could potentially do that to you, and I'm hoping James rides that high and fits whatever Philly needs, and they just ride that momentum because he can really sway the whole series this game if James chooses to do so. Um, and then for the other series, I would say Phoenix. I think Chris Paul is absolutely livid, and you know what? Shout out to that stupid fan for egging him on because he's gonna come out tomorrow hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you on Phoenix for the
Mm-hmm.
same reason. I think big Chris Paul game. I
Right.
also just think them at home, their fans are just as nasty, just as loud. So yeah, they'll
Yeah,
be
they're
ready.
cool. They're cool. I like Phoenix
Um,
fans.
yeah. But I think I'm picking Milwaukee, not Milwaukee, sorry, Miami in
Miami.
this game 5, kind of for a similar reason. Like they're playing at home.
Mm-hmm.
The home team has won every game in the series so far. Originally, when we thought Embiid was might not be able to play at all in the series, we picked.
Yeah.
I think we both had the Heat in 5.
Yep.
I'm kind of now just leaning towards the home team is going to win every game in the series. The Heat are going to win in 7. And I think a big game for Jim Bob Butler tomorrow.
You know what's so funny, ironically, with Jimmy? Is he'll give you a 40 bomb and that's never the biggest news in the night.
No,
Like, you
it's
know what I
so
mean?
quiet.
He's such a quiet, like, for being such like the bravado, so loud, so
Yeah,
stern, and it's just like all of a sudden you're like, well, damn, you got 40 and ESPN doesn't want to cover you. They don't
yeah.
care. Like, but it is crazy.
Hey, they'll
Jimmy
they'll care
can,
when they're in the conference finals.
for sure. Jimmy can. It's so crazy with Jimmy being that his stat lines are always like eye popping but quiet.
Yeah,
Like
for
it's
sure.
only if you're like paying attention. So I agree. Jimmy could definitely just pop off for like 40.
Yeah. All right. Well, we shall see what happens tomorrow. This one again was just going to be super quick. Quick little recap on Monday evening
Bang,
here.
bang, bang, bang.
Um,
Quick, baby.
we'll be coming back sometime midweek here with a recap of some of these pivotal game 5s and 6s, most likely. The
Mm-hmm.
only series we don't have a guaranteed game 6 is Memphis Golden State. So long series ahead of us. I hope we get a couple game 7s.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, this has been fun. Real quick, some housekeeping stuff. Please follow our Twitter account _808s fast breaks. Follow us on TikTok at 808s fast breaks.
Sir.
Please like and subscribe on YouTube. All the good stuff. And yeah, anything else to add before we jump off, Andy?
No, man, just congratulations for tomorrow.
Thank you.
For that anniversary. That's a huge deal. Always a huge milestone every year. And for all the fans listening or anyone that's interested in basketball, just remember to take care of yourself, drink some water, watch some playoff basketball, and go touch some grass.
Absolutely. Cheers, everyone. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Peace.